The city is waking up. Outside the tall windows of a glass tower, sunlight glimmers across hundreds of shining rooftops. Down below, cars hum through wide streets. People rush with coffee cups and deadlines. Up here, silence. Ethan Cole stands before a mirror, adjusting the cuffs of his designer suit. He's in his early 40s, handsome in a polished way. Not a hair out of place, not a moment wasted. Every move he makes is sharp, practiced, controlled. A voice plays from the television behind him. A morning financial report. Cole Enterprises continues its record-breaking streak. CEO Ethan Cole is being hailed as one of the most powerful men in the city. He lowers the volume with a faint smirk. Praise has become background noise. His assistant, Marianne, enters with his schedule in hand. "Your driver's waiting, sir. Breakfast is ready." He nods, never looking up from his reflection. "Good. Tell him to take the expressway. No delays today." On the marble counter, a plate of perfectly cut fruit sits untouched. He sips his black coffee, not for taste, but for routine. The walls of his penthouse are sleek, cold, and spotless. There are no family photos, no laughter, only trophies of success, awards, certificates, and glossy magazine covers with his face on them. This is the world Ethan built. Flawless on the outside, hollow on the inside. XT, City Street. Later a line of black cars glide through traffic. Ethan's limousine is one of them. Through the tinted glass, he watches the city blur by. Tall buildings, crowds, billboards flashing his company's name. To others, this world looks like power. To Ethan, it's a routine he can't escape. He scrolls through his phone, messages from investors, reminders of meetings, no personal ones. A notification from his wife flashes briefly on the screen. "Dinner tonight?" He sighs, swipes it away. Business comes first. The car stops at a red light near his corporate tower, a structure of steel and ambition. But something catches his eye. A beggar sits near the building's entrance. His clothes are torn, his hair gray, his hands trembling slightly as he holds up a cardboard sign. "You can lose everything except kindness." Ethan stares for a moment, more in annoyance than pity. The man's calm eyes meet his through the window. There's no pleading in them, no shame, only peace. The driver opens the door. "We've arrived, sir." Ethan steps out, straightening his suit. People on the sidewalk step aside to let him pass. The beggar looks up and gives a gentle nod. Ethan's jaw tightens. "You shouldn't be here," he says sharply. The beggar only smiles faintly. "Neither should unhappiness, yet it finds us both." Ethan frowns, offended by the remark. "Keep your wisdom to yourself, old man." He walks away quickly, his shoes clicking against the pavement, each step echoing with irritation. Behind him, the beggar lowers his head and whispers something Ethan doesn't hear. A prayer, or maybe a truth too soft for noise. Int. Cole Enterprises. Boardroom. Moments later, the boardroom buzzes with energy. Assistants rush around, screens flicker with market updates. Ethan walks in, and silence falls immediately. Everyone stands straighter. He gives instructions like a general at war. Precise, commanding, unfeeling. "We close the deal today. No delays. No excuses." People nod quickly. To them, he's untouchable. To him, they're tools. Part of a machine he built to stay busy enough not to feel. But even as he talks numbers and profits, his mind drifts to that cardboard sign. "You can lose everything except kindness." The words bother him more than they should. He doesn't understand why. For the first time in years, his focus falters. For the first time, something small has touched a nerve inside the man who thought he had it all. XT. City. Evening. The meeting is over. Success again. Another deal won. But as Ethan steps out of the building, the air feels heavier. The streets glow with city lights, and the beggar is gone. Still, Ethan glances at the empty spot, uneasy. He tells himself it means nothing, just another day, another stranger. But deep down, a thought stirs, quiet and persistent. He has everything he ever wanted, and yet, somehow, he feels like he has nothing at all. The city hums with its usual rush. Engines roaring, horns echoing, heels tapping across concrete. Ethan Cole steps out of his car, phone in hand, voice sharp as glass. "Sell at 90. Don't wait for a rebound," he commands before hanging up. His eyes are cold, his stride confident. But as he approaches the tall glass doors of Cole Enterprises, his steps slow. The beggar is there again. Same spot, same calm posture, the same cardboard sign resting against his knees. You can lose everything except kindness. For a moment, Ethan stands still. Part of him is irritated. Part of him, strangely curious. He thought the man would have left, but here he is, sitting quietly in the noise of the world, like someone untouched by time. Ethan takes a deep breath, straightens his tie, and starts walking. But something stops him. He turns back. The beggar, thin and frail, looks up with a soft smile. His eyes, a clear, deep gray, seem to see right through the surface of things. Ethan frowns. "You again? Don't you have anywhere else to go?" The beggar shakes his head slowly. "I go where hearts are busiest. People notice me less there." Ethan crosses his arms. "You think sitting here begging is some kind of purpose?" The old man's voice is gentle, almost melodic. "Purpose isn't always in doing more. Sometimes it's in being still enough to feel." Ethan scoffs. "Feel? That's not how the world works. You survive by moving forward, not sitting around waiting for miracles." The beggar nods thoughtfully. "You're right. But you can move so fast, you forget where you were going." There's no anger in his tone, no sarcasm, only peace. That calmness unsettles Ethan more than insult would have. He adjusts his cufflinks, trying to ignore the man. "You don't know anything about me?" "Maybe not," the beggar says softly. "But I know what it's like to chase something so hard that you lose yourself along the way." Ethan pauses. The city noise feels distant now, like everything's slowed. He studies the man. His wrinkled face, the worn hands resting on his lap, the eyes that hold stories too old for the streets. "What do you mean by that?" Ethan asks before he can stop himself. The beggar looks down at his sign, then back at Ethan. "Once, I had everything. A house, a car, a family. I thought I was rich." He smiles faintly. "Then life showed me what richness really means." Ethan gives a dry laugh. "And what does it mean, sitting on concrete?" "It means being at peace," the beggar says quietly. "It means waking up without anger, sleeping without regret, and giving even when you have little left to give." Ethan shakes his head, amused but uneasy. "You sound like you've been reading too many fairy tales." The beggar chuckles softly. "No, I just lived too many realities." For a moment, silence stretches between them. A gust of wind carries the sound of traffic and laughter, but neither moves. Ethan breaks the silence first. "If you hate this life so much, why not change it?" The beggar's answer is simple, but it lands heavy. "I already did. I stopped chasing what wasn't mine to keep." Ethan's expression hardens. "He's done with this nonsense. You're wasting your time. You could be working, earning something." "I am," the old man replies with a smile. "Just not in the way you count earnings." Ethan scoffs again and turns away, shaking his head. "You're insane." But as he walks toward the building doors, he can't shake off what he just heard. The man's calmness, that unshakable peace. It bothers him. Inside the glass tower, the noise of business drowns everything again. Assistants greet him. Screens flash with numbers. Meetings begin. but none of it feels the same. Every time he glances out the window, his eyes drift toward the street below, where the beggar sits still among the moving crowd. Small, almost invisible, yet somehow more real than everything around Ethan. E.N.T. Ethan's office. Late afternoon, the sun dips low, casting long golden shadows across the city skyline. Ethan leans back in his chair, trying to focus on the report in front of him, but his thoughts drift again. The old man's words repeat in his mind. I stopped chasing what wasn't mine to keep. He feels a strange tightness in his chest. Not pain, but something deeper. Confusion, maybe, or recognition. For years, Ethan has built walls around himself, thinking power made him safe. But now, a single conversation with a man who has nothing is cracking those walls open. He closes his laptop and stands by the window. Down below, the beggar's still there, quietly sharing bread with a stray dog. Ethan watches, transfixed, and for the first time in a very long time, he wonders if he's the one who's truly poor. The city lights flicker on, bright and distant. Ethan turns away, restless. He tells himself it doesn't matter. That man is nothing, just a distraction. But deep down, something has begun. A slow, quiet unraveling that will soon change everything he believes. The meeting room glows with polished glass and expensive suits. Assistants hurry in with coffee. Investors join through video screens, and every face turns toward Ethan Cole, the man everyone fears, respects, and envies. Ethan stands at the head of the long table, a digital chart behind him showing profits, lines climbing higher. His voice is firm, confident. We're expanding globally. No risks, no delays. I want every investor locked in before next quarter. People nod, scribbling notes, pretending to keep up with his pace. But beneath the surface, tension brews. One of the younger executives clears his throat nervously. Sir, there's been pushback from our partners overseas. They want more time to... Ethan cuts him off sharply. Time is for people who can afford to lose. We don't lose. A heavy silence fills the room. Ethan looks around, daring anyone to challenge him. No one does. He smiles. But inside, something feels off. For the first time, his own confidence sounds like noise. Int. Ethan's office. Later that day, the city skyline stretches behind Ethan as he stares out the window. His reflection on the glass looks powerful, yet distant. He takes out his phone and scrolls through messages. No texts from his wife, Claire. None from his son. Just business updates and reminders. He hesitates, almost calling her, then stops. Later, he mutters, dropping the phone onto his desk. The phone buzzes again. Another alert. Partner withdrawal, Tokyo division. Ethan frowns. Another deal slipping through. Another partner losing faith. He calls his chief financial officer. Handle it, he orders coldly. They don't get to walk away. But after hanging up, a quiet fear stirs in him. Something he hasn't felt in years. Int. Ethan's home. Night, the mansion is quiet. Too quiet. Claire sits at the dining table, untouched food in front of her. She looks at Ethan, her eyes tired. You missed dinner again, she says softly. I was working, Ethan replies without looking up, loosening his tie. You're always working, she says. You don't even see what you're losing. He sighs, pouring himself a drink. Claire, I'm doing this for us. For our future. Our future. Her voice breaks slightly. Ethan, you already sold our present. Her words sting, but he hides it behind a cold stare. You don't understand how this world works. No, she says quietly. You don't understand how life works. She stands and walks away, leaving her food, her words, and a silence that echoes louder than any argument. Ethan stares at his drink, dark, bitter, and empty, just like the life he's built. Int. Cole Enterprises. Days later, tension fills the air. The once efficient office feels heavier now. Whispers, glances, uncertainty. Ethan storms through the hallway, papers in hand. "Who leaked the numbers?" he barks. "Find out, or you're all gone." An employee tries to explain, trembling. "Sir, it wasn't a leak. The deal itself, I said handle it," Ethan snaps. His voice cracks through the room like a whip. As he turns, he sees the fear in their faces. Not respect, not admiration, just fear. And for the first time, he realizes that fear is all he's ever earned. He slams his office door and stands alone, chest rising fast. His reflection in the glass wall looks older, harsher. He whispers to himself, "What's happening to me?" EXT, City Street. Evening, then steps out of his building, exhausted. He just wants silence, a moment of peace. And there, across the street, the beggar. Gabriel sits in the same spot, back straight, a quiet smile on his weathered face. Beside him, a stray dog rests its head on his leg. A small boy, another homeless soul, sits nearby, eating bread Gabriel just handed him. Ethan stops walking. Something about the scene freezes him. No wealth, no luxury. Yet there's warmth, a small circle of humanity in a cold world. He watches Gabriel laugh softly with the boy. The sound carries across the street like music. Simple, pure. Ethan looks down at his phone. Another email from investors demanding answers, his assistant begging for direction. He looks back at Gabriel, still smiling, still content. A strange, painful thought hits him. Why does that man with nothing look happier than me? He lowers his gaze, ashamed of the question. For years, he's believed happiness was earned through power and money. But now, doubt gnaws at that belief like rust on metal. He turns and walks away quickly, as if escaping something too bright to look at. NNT. Ethan's car. Night, the car glides through the streets, city lights reflecting on the windows. Ethan stares out, lost in thought. The words replay in his mind. The beggar's calm voice. "You can move so fast, you forget where you were going." He presses his temples, frustrated. "Stop thinking about him," he mutters. But he can't. That peace, that simple, unshakable peace, haunts him. Tonind. Thonone Hansmaiden's office. Next morning, the next day, Ethan tries to drown himself in work again. Meetings, numbers, calls. But the cracks are widening. Clients are pulling out. His staff is nervous. He looks at his reflection in the dark screen of his laptop. His own eyes look tired, hollow, unfamiliar. Somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispers the truth he doesn't want to face. The empire he built isn't made of strength anymore. It's made of fear, and it's falling apart. He turns away, unable to face himself. Outside, the morning sun glints off the glass buildings, perfect, cold, and empty. Inside, Ethan Cole feels the first real tremor of collapse. And far below, on the same street corner, Gabriel the beggar sits peacefully, unaware, or perhaps knowing all too well, that the man in the tower is beginning to fall. This section represents Ethan's lowest point, when everything he's built begins to crumble, and he's forced to face the emptiness within. The tone remains dramatic, raw, and emotionally grounded, showing that his downfall is not just financial, but spiritual. Fee. The collapse. When wealth isn't enough int. Cole Enterprises. Boardroom. Morning, the once immaculate boardroom now feels suffocating. Screens flicker with red graphs, profits crashing, markets shrinking, investors leaving one by one. Ethan stands at the head of the table again, but this time his confidence is gone. Sweat beads on his forehead as his legal team, financial advisors, and partners exchange tense glances. "We've lost Tokyo, Berlin, and New York," his CFO says quietly. "If the London branch pulls out too—" "They won't," Ethan cuts in sharply. But his voice trembles. "They already have," the CFO replies. A long silence follows, the kind that breaks men in slow motion. Ethan sinks into his chair, eyes hollow. The empire he built is evaporating before his eyes. His phone buzzes again, a message from an unknown number. "We regret to inform you that your credit line has been suspended due to ongoing investigations." His hand freezes. The room spins slightly. He drops the phone. For the first time in years, Ethan Cole doesn't know what to do. Int. Ethan's office. Hours later, Ethan sits alone, the city outside blurring into meaningless lights. His awards: Entrepreneur of the Year, Visionary Leader, Man of the Decade, line the shelf behind him, but they all feel like mockery now. He takes one of the trophies and looks at it closely. A golden plaque engraved with his name. Then he laughs, quietly at first, then bitterly. "What's the point of gold," he mutters, "if it can't buy peace?" He hurls the trophy against the wall. It shatters. He stares at the fragments on the floor, his reflection warped across the broken pieces. And Ethan's home. Night Claire stands by the window, suitcase beside her. Ethan enters, disheveled, exhausted. "You're leaving?" he asks, barely audible. She turns to him, her eyes red, not from anger, but from heartbreak. "I begged you for years to see what mattered. You wouldn't listen." "Claire, please." He steps closer, reaching out. She shakes her head. "It's not about money, Ethan. It never was. You just stopped being here. You built your empire, but destroyed your home." He stands frozen as she walks past him, pausing only to say, "You don't need saving, Ethan. You need to lose everything before you understand what's worth keeping." The door closes softly behind her. But to Ethan, it sounds like a thunderclap. He sinks onto the couch, his breath shallow. The silence feels like punishment. NTT. Bank office. Day. Weeks later, a banker, polished and cold, slides papers across the desk. "I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. The foreclosure process has already begun." Ethan's fingers tremble, slightly as he signs the documents. Each signature feeling like a nail in the coffin of his old life. He leaves the building with nothing but a small box of personal items. His driver is gone, his car repossessed, his cards useless. He walks, for the first time in years, through the streets on foot. The same streets he once looked down upon from glass towers. People brush past him, not recognizing the man who once ruled their city. The rain begins to fall. It doesn't stop. XT. City Street. Evening then sits on a park bench, drenched, his box of belongings beside him. Among them, a family photo. Claire and their son, smiling. He touches the glass frame gently. He remembers the warmth of their laughter. The way his son once said, "You're my hero, Dad." Tears mix with the rain. For the first time, Ethan doesn't hide them. He whispers to himself, "I failed them. I failed myself." XT. Same street corner. Night, and then a familiar voice. "You again," the beggar says softly. Ethan looks up. It's Gabrielle, sitting under the same flickering streetlight, an umbrella sheltering him and his dog. Gabriel's eyes are calm, kind. He gestures for Ethan to sit beside him. Ethan hesitates, pride still clinging to him like a dying flame. But finally, he does. They sit in silence for a long time, the rain pattering softly around them. Finally, Ethan speaks. I had everything, and now? Nothing, Gabriel nods gently. So now you can finally see. See what? Ethan's voice cracks. That nothing was the real everything, Gabriel says simply. Ethan frowns, confused, frustrated. You don't understand. I built a life. I worked for everything I had, Gabriel smiles faintly. You built walls, not a life. You worked for control, not peace. Ethan's eyes fill again, but this time, not from pride or anger, from truth. He whispers, I don't even know who I am without all of it. Gabriel looks at him with compassion. Good. That means you're finally ready to find out. EXT. Street. Later that night, the rain stops. The city hums quietly around them. Gabriel pulls out half a sandwich from a worn paper bag and offers it to Ethan. Ethan stares at it, ashamed, then slowly takes it. They eat together in silence, and somehow, in that simple act, two men from opposite worlds sharing a piece of bread, the emptiness inside Ethan begins to soften. He looks at Gabriel and asks, Why are you always so calm? You have nothing, Gabriel chuckles softly. That's why I have everything. When you stop clinging to what can be taken, you realize peace can't be bought, only accepted. Ethan listens, eyes glistening. For the first time in years, he feels something real. Humility, gratitude, humanity. He looks at the skyline. The city lights that once represented victory now feel meaningless. He whispers, I think I'm beginning to understand. Gabriel smiles. Then you're richer than you think. XT, street, dawn, the sky turns pale gold. Ethan stands as the city wakes. He's still broke, still lost, but lighter somehow. He watches Gabriel feeding pigeons, laughing softly. And in that laughter, Ethan hears something he's been missing all his life. Peace without price. He closes his eyes and lets the morning breeze wash over him. No title, no power, just being alive. And for the first time ever. That feels like enough. This section closes Ethan's journey of loss, reflection, and awakening. It brings meaning to the title, showing how a beggar teaches a rich man the most profound lesson life can offer. That wealth is not counted in money, but in peace, kindness, and truth. Fool. The lesson, the true measure of wealth X'd. City Street, morning. The world looks different now. The same city that once glittered under Ethan's command now breathes around him. Real, flawed, alive. He walks past the cafe he once owned, now closed. Past his old office tower, its logo stripped off. Past people rushing, phones in hand, chasing the same illusion he once did. He sees them clearly now, not as competition, not as lesser, but as mirrors of his former self. At the corner, he spots Gabriel sitting where he always does, surrounded by the quiet dignity of simplicity. A few regulars greet him warmly. He waves back with the same calm smile. Ethan approaches slowly. Morning, he says, his voice low but warm. Gabriel looks up. Ah, you again. You look different. Ethan chuckles softly. Maybe because I finally started listening. Gabriel nods approvingly. Listening is the first step to seeing. They sit side by side once more, as the city hums around them. XT. Street corner. Later, Ethan watches Gabriel interact with people. A woman handing him coffee. A child giving him a flower. A tired worker sharing a moment of laughter with him. Every exchange is small, but each one feels whole. Ethan finally asks, How do you do it? You have so little, Yet you seem complete. Gabriel smiles, looking at the child's flower in his hand. When you stop needing more, what you have becomes enough. He looks at Ethan. You had everything, but your hands were always closed. How could anything stay? Ethan is silent. The truth settles deep inside him, heavy, but freeing. He whispers, I thought money was safety. I thought power was respect. Gabriel nods. Money can feed you, power can move others, but only peace can fill you. He gestures toward the sunrise. That's the one wealth nobody can steal. XT. Community Shelter. Weeks pass. Ethan begins volunteering at a local shelter. Quietly, anonymously. He sweeps floors, serves food, repairs leaky pipes. At first, people stare, recognizing the once famous CEO, but he doesn't care. One day, a young man approaches him shyly. You're Ethan Cole, right? The businessman? Ethan wipes his hands and smiles faintly. I used to be. Now I just try to help where I can. The young man nods. I used to think money was everything too. My dad works 3 jobs. He's always angry, always tired. I don't want to end up like that. Ethan studies him, remembering his own son's voice, his own blindness. He says softly, Don't chase what fades. Build what stays. The young man frowns slightly. Like what? Moments, love, kindness. Those don't collapse when markets do. The boy nods slowly, eyes glimmering, and, for a second, Ethan sees himself, but healed. Int? Small apartment. Evening, Ethan now lives in a modest apartment. Cracked walls, second-hand furniture, but for the first time in years, there's warmth. On the table sits a photo of Claire and their son. He hasn't seen them yet, not since the day she left. But he's been writing letters. Every day, 1 letter. He never sends them. Not yet. But each one carries a piece of the man he's becoming. He writes tonight's letter slowly. I lost everything I thought mattered, Claire. But in losing it, I found myself. I met a man who taught me that true wealth is not having more, but needing less. If peace could be measured, I'd finally be rich. He folds the letter gently, places it on the growing stack, and exhales. Not with regret, but peace, XT. City Street. Dusk Ethan walks again toward the corner. But tonight, the space where Gabriel usually sits is empty. He looks around. No sign of him, just the quiet hum of evening traffic and the sound of life moving on. He sits down where Gabriel used to be. For a long time, he stays there, thinking, remembering, feeling the strange ache of gratitude and loss intertwined. A woman passing by stops. Are you waiting for someone? Ethan smiles faintly. A teacher, but I think he's already taught me everything I needed. She tilts her head. Funny, I saw that man a few days ago. Said he was leaving the city. Said his work here was done. Ethan nods slowly. Yeah, I guess it was. He looks down, and there, beside the spot where Gabriel always sat, lies a small folded note wrapped in a piece of cloth. He opens it carefully. The handwriting is rough, uneven. Gabriel's. The richest man is not the one with the most, but the one who can give without fear of losing. You are free now, Ethan. Use your freedom well. Ethan closes his eyes, tears slipping silently down his face. He whispers, Thank you for everything. EXT. Street. Sunset. Ethan stands, looking at the horizon. The city glowing under a golden sky. For the first time, he doesn't feel small or powerless. He feels alive, part of something bigger, something real. He takes a deep breath, watching people move. Laughter, struggle, love, all blending together. And he smiles, because now he finally understands wealth isn't in what we own. It's in how much peace we can carry in an empty hand. Epilogue. Months later, Int, Community Center, Daya. New sign hangs above the door. The Gabriel Foundation, helping those who've lost their way. Inside, Ethan helps organize meals, job training, and support groups for the homeless. He isn't Mr. Cole anymore. He's just Ethan, a man who finally learned how to give. As he hands a bowl of soup to an old man trembling from hunger, he hears a faint laugh outside, familiar, peaceful, eternal. He looks toward the door, but no one is there, only the sound of wind, soft and warm, carrying a whisper that feels like a blessing. You've found it. Ethan smiles through tears, closing his eyes, and in that moment he realizes he's not the man who lost everything. He's the man who finally became whole. This chapter captures Ethan's transformation, the rebirth of a man who once ruled the world with money, but learns to lead with compassion instead. It's heartfelt, humble, and ends with hope and meaning. 8. The Redemption, a life rebuilt with meaning exed. City Park. Early morning, the city awakens again. But to Ethan, it feels like a different world now. The noise of cars, the chatter of people, the distant sound of church bells, all these ordinary things once felt meaningless. Now, they sound like life itself. Ethan walks through the park carrying a box of donated clothes. His steps are lighter, his eyes softer, his smile unforced. Where once he'd rush past strangers, now he stops to help an old woman with her groceries, to greet a child feeding pigeons, to share a laugh with a street vendor. He no longer counts time in dollars. He counts it in moments that matter. NNT. Community Center. Daya, small but lively center, stands in the heart of the city. The walls are painted with bright murals, people holding hands, children smiling, words like hope, kindness, and together. A sign above the door reads, "The Gabriel Foundation, a second chance for all." Inside, volunteers move about with cheerful energy. Ethan supervises, but not like a boss, like a brother among equals. He wears a simple shirt, sleeves rolled up, helping a young volunteer repair a table leg. "Hold it steady," he says, smiling. "We'll make it stronger than before," the boy grins. "Just like you did, Mr. Cole." Ethan pauses, humbled. "Just like we all can." He looks around, the laughter, the teamwork, the sense of purpose, and his heart fills with gratitude. XT. City Streets. Afternoon, a news reporter films a short segment in front of the center. Once one of the city's wealthiest men, Ethan Cole now dedicates his life to helping those in need. His foundation has provided shelter, jobs, and food for hundreds. Ethan watches from the doorway, shaking his head modestly. He turns to his staff and jokes, "Let's hope they don't make me sound too good. Gabriel would have hated that." Everyone laughs, and for a brief second, Ethan looks toward the old street corner, the spot where Gabriel once sat. It's empty now, but in his heart, it feels full. Int. Ethan's office. Evening. Ethan's new office is small. One desk, two chairs, and sunlight streaming through half-drawn blinds. No trophies, no awards, just photos of smiling people, volunteers, children, the homeless now finding hope again. But at the center of the room, placed carefully on a wooden shelf, sits Gabriel's old cardboard sign. "You can lose everything except kindness." Ethan looks at it often, not as a memory, but as a promise. He picks up his phone and scrolls to a contact labeled Claire. He hesitates, then presses call. After a few rings, her voice answers, cautious but gentle. "Ethan?" He smiles softly. "Hi, Claire. I'm sorry it took me so long to understand. I'm not calling to fix the past, just to say thank you." There's a pause. Then she whispers, "Our son talks about you sometimes. He says he misses you." Ethan's eyes fill with tears. "Tell him I miss him more than words could ever say. And that I'm trying to be someone he could be proud of." Claire's voice trembles. "He already is, Ethan." The call ends, but the silence that follows feels peaceful. Not empty, but complete. XT. Community Center. Sunset. The evening sky glows orange and pink. Ethan locks the doors after another long, fulfilling day. As he steps onto the street, a little boy runs up, barefoot, clutching a worn-out backpack. "Sir, I heard you help people here. My mom's sick. Can you help us?" Ethan kneels, meeting the boy's eyes. "Of course. You're not alone, okay? Let's get her some help." The boy nods, relief flooding his face. Ethan takes his hand and leads him inside. Behind them, the last rays of sunlight touch the cardboard sign in the office window. The words glowing softly, like a silent blessing. You can lose everything except kindness. Montage. Weeks later, Ethan distributing meals at the U shelter, teaching job skills to struggling men. Reading bedtime stories to children of single mothers, laughing freely, surrounded by people, not followers, not employees, but hearts he's helped heal. His once restless spirit now glows with peace. No skyscraper, no fortune could ever match the empire he's building now. One made of compassion, not contracts. XT. Gabriel's Corner. Ethan returns once more to the spot where it all began. He sits quietly, gazing at the stars above the city lights. A soft breeze brushes his face. Somewhere, faintly, he thinks he hears Gabriel's voice. Calm, wise, eternal. Money feeds the body, but kindness feeds the soul. Ethan smiles, eyes glistening. "Rest easy, old friend," he murmurs. "Your lesson won't be forgotten." He closes his eyes, breathing in the night air. No longer the king of a hollow empire, but a man finally rich in peace. Rain falls softly, coating the streets in silver. People rush past with umbrellas, splashing through puddles, all chasing time, chasing something unseen. Ethan walks slowly among them, unbothered by the rain. His coat is soaked, but his eyes carry warmth. He stops when he sees a young beggar sitting under a bridge, clutching an empty cup. Shivering, hungry, forgotten by the world. For a moment, Ethan just watches. The sight tugs at something deep inside him. A memory, a promise. He kneels down, placing a sandwich and a cup of hot coffee beside the boy. The beggar looks up, surprised. Ethan smiles gently. "Eat," he says softly. "It's not much, but it's enough for now." The boy hesitates, tears welling up. "Why are you helping me?" Ethan looks at him for a long moment. His voice is calm, like Gabriel's once was. "Because someone once helped me when I didn't deserve it. And it changed everything." The boy nods, taking a small bite, warmth returning to his face. Ethan stays for a while, not rushing away, not pretending to be a savior, just being there. He looks up at the gray sky as the rain eases, and a faint glow breaks through the clouds. Sunlight, fragile but real. A voice echoes softly in his mind. Life has a strange way of teaching us. Sometimes it takes losing everything to see what was always worth keeping. Ethan smiles through quiet tears. The rain fades. The city gleams. And for the first time, Ethan truly understands. The richest hearts are the ones that give.